We are your official Wildcat and Lady Cat station, KSST 1230 AM, Sulphur Springs, Texas. It's time for Wildcat basketball. Let's go to Tyler, Texas, Mike Carter Field, where today's game will be called by KSST Sports Director Don Julian. Don?
Well, James Terry, thank you very much. And we're just a few minutes before 11 o'clock for an 11 o'clock start on this Game 2 of this bi-district series between Hallsville and the Sulphur Springs Wildcats. Wildcats lead the series 1-0, having won on Wednesday by the score of 3-2. And so this is Game 2, and if they need a third game, if Hallsville can break through and even the series, then Game 3 will take place right after Game 2, probably about, I don't know, half an hour after or something. Head coaches are through with a umpires meeting and heading back to the dugout, so we will be hearing from the PA announcer here. And he will introduce, we believe, both full squads. Let's check in with him now.
First for the visiting Hallsville Bobcats. Leading off, playing shortstop, number 6, Easton Lloyd. Center fielder, number 11, Hagan Mango. Batting in the 3 hole, playing right field, number 3, Brayton Johnson. Batting cleanup, designated hitter, number 9, Tyler Lee. Batting the 5 hole, left fielder, number 7, Zach Daniel. Number 18, catcher, Matt Houston. Playing third base, number 15, Blake Ware. Playing first base, number 5, James Perkins. Playing second base, number 1, Nolan Cox. And doing the pitching duties today for the Hallsville Bobcats, number 10, Matthew York. And the rest of the Hallsville Bobcats, head coach Scott Mitchell, assistants Chris Walker, DeMarcus Rogers, and Ian Angelo. And now for the Sulphur Springs Wildcats. Leading off, playing shortstop, number 3, Caden Ardenbride. At second base, batting second, number 6, Colson Hale. Doing the pitching, number 4, Jackson Cheney. At first base, number 8, Cameron Harrison. Batting fifth, center fielder, number 11, Austin Dodd. In left field, number 5, Jace Thompson. At third base, number 7, Will Sims. Designated hitter for today's game, number 14, Payson Edwards. Catcher, number 12, Jace Birchfield. Playing right field, batting ninth, number 17, Connor Mergen. Doing the pitching for the Sulphur Springs Wildcats, number 4, Jackson Cheney. And the rest of the Sulphur Springs Wildcats. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, if you would please stand as we play our national anthem.
That's our national anthem here from Mike Carter Field as we get ready for this 11 o'clock game number 2 in the bi-district series between the Hallsville Bobcats and the Wildcats of Sulphur Springs. And what's the last thing you do as a team before you get ready to play? Do fist bumps all the way around. That's what our umpires did as they just broke up at home plate, leaving the home plate umpire course, and then we'll have an umpire at every base for this one, 4 umpires here at Mike Carter Field. And I would assume that they're probably Tyler umpires, but that may not be the case. I am not familiar with where the umpires came from. I know in our Lady Cat softball that was played in Royce City, that I believe that chapter all the way through was a Tyler chapter for those softball games. Not certain. I have not heard on baseball umpires. They certainly, I thought, did a good job on game 1, and I'm sure they'll give it their all on here on game 2. Jackson Cheney beginning to warm up. Boy, a real competitor for the Wildcats. He'll be doing his best to end this series with this game. Jackson, very good competitor. Jace Birchfield is catching. At first base is Cameron Harrison. Colson Hale is at second. Will Sims at third. He was the winning pitcher on Wednesday. Caden Argenbright at short. Jace Thompson in left. Austin Dodd in center. And Connor Bergen is in right field for the Wildcats. All artificial turf here at Mike Carter Field. Not sure how many seasons that's happened. Seems like maybe 2 or 3. And there's Birchfield's throw down to second base to Argenbright, and we are just about ready to get underway. Scheduled to hit here in the top of the first inning for Hallsville. 21-5-1, by the way. The Wildcats 16-10, having won 6 in a row. It'll be Easton Lloyd, Hagan Mangum, and also Braden Johnson. 1, 2, and 3 for Hallsville here in the top of the first inning. And here's Easton Lloyd, and he is a good hitter according to Coach Jared Hammock. And first pitch from Cheney swung on, hitting the first pitch out to Austin Dodd in center field, settling under it, and makes the catch. 1 pitch and 1 out. And that's exactly what he did. I would be very wary to make sure I threw a good first pitch to Easton Lloyd, because he has been first pitch hitting in both ball games as a leadoff hitter. Now here's Hagan Mangum, the center fielder, right-handed hitter against Jackson Cheney. And the pitch on the way, that's low and outside, ball 1 to Mangum. Center fielder for Hallsville. You can probably look it up and see how they did in game 1. And the 1-0 pitch now, and that's outside, ball 2. Mangum was 1 for 4. He had an RBI single in the ball game in game number 1. Lloyd was 0 for 3, scored a run. 2-0 the count, and Jackson Cheney's next pitch, a breaking ball. Ooh, that buzzed him inside. The ball did not break like Jackson thought, and it was high and tight. So it's 3-0 now to Hagan Mangum. Open stance at home plate. And Cheney's 3-0 pitch, and he buzzed that in there for a call strike, and the count goes to 3-1. Again, Braden Johnson, the right fielder for Hallsville, is on deck. Hallsville in gray uniforms as a visiting team here with the purple letters. There's a ball grounded to Hale at second. Gobbles it up. Throw to first. Cameron Harrison is in time for out number 2. So 2 up and 2 out. That'll bring up Braden Johnson. And let me check on Braden here for the first game. He was 1 for 3. He had an RBI single. And so that covers the 2 RBI guys. So they only had 2 runs. And Johnson, first pitch, called strike by Jackson Cheney. 0-1 the count. 2 out, nobody on. We're in the top of the first inning. Hallsville and the Wildcats, just like old times in the district. And this pitch swung on, grounded to Argenbright at short. He fields it cleanly. Nice throw to first. And Hallsville goes up and down in the top of the first inning. 3 up and 3 down. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on base. We played half an inning here at Mike Carter Field. Hallsville 0 and the Wildcats coming to bat. Bottom of the first inning, the Wildcats will have Caden Argenbright, Colson Hale, and Jackson Cheney scheduled to hit against Matthew York, a right-handed pitcher for the Hallsville Bobcats. And we want to thank Hallsville Athletic Director Joe Drennan, won a state championship at Mineola, by the way, now the head football coach of Hallsville and the athletic director. And we also want to thank Scott Mitchell, the head coach of Hallsville. They have said okay today for live streaming. And so we are bringing it to you live. You can check that out on our website, ksstradio.com. And you should be able to link up right there. It's also, you can go through YouTube and pick it up. Game will be eventually at some point posted on YouTube, we think, but it's going to be a while. They did not want the game to go up there after the fact until they are no longer playing in the playoffs. Scouting concerns by Scott Mitchell. And we'll be glad to do that.
Shortstop, number 3.
And here's Caden Argenbright, the left-handed hitting shortstop for the Wildcats. Started the season as a catcher for the Wildcats. That was one of the moves that Coach Hammock made, moving him to shortstop, and he is a really, really good shortstop. Not a bad catcher, don't get me wrong, and he may do some of that in college too at Henderson State. And the first pitch now from York is a called strike on the outside part of the plate to Caden Argenbright. Well, let's see if I can figure out how Argy did the other day against Hallsville. As York from the stretch, pitching from the stretch here in the first inning, and that pitch is going to just miss off the plate. Those were very close on the outside part. Caden was 2 for 4 the other day, had a pair of singles for the Wildcats. May have been the only one with 2 hits. They swung on and hit foul back behind home plate, and the count now 1 ball and 2 strikes. Beautiful Mike Carter Field in Tyler. Says they're right on the turf for those watching and seeing Doug's video. 1-2 pitch, high and outside, and 2-2 the count to Argy. Teammates call him Caden Argenbright. Tough hitter up there in the leadoff spot. And Matthew York from the stretch. And the 2-2 pitch swung on and hit toward right field. The second baseman knocks it down, throws to first in time. Nice play there by Nolan Cox. Got over in the hole. He bobbled it a little bit, but it stayed right there in front of him, and he picked it up and threw over to James Perkins at first for out number 1, beating Argenbright, who was running down to first. So 1 up and 1 out, and here's Colson Hale, right-handed hitter for the Wildcats, their second baseman today. And they're going to be back deep at second and short, and in slightly at third, maybe thinking about a bunt that he might put down. That pitch over, but too low for ball 1 to Colson Hale. First baseman is back for Colson. And York from the stretch, and the 1-0 pitch, and that one's in there for a called strike. 1 ball and 1 strike to Hale. And now Colson will step out. Umpire, of course, has to grant that, and he did, and now Hale back in the batter's box. And again, York from the stretch. And the 1-1 pitch, a breaking ball, is in there for a call strike. Took the umpire, he had to digest that one a little bit. The crowd was already hooting and hollering from Hallsville wanting that strike, and they got it. 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 pitch, Hale swings and hits a foul back out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1 out, nobody on. We're in the bottom of the first inning, and we've yet to have a base runner in the ball game, as Hallsville was up and down in order, 3 up and 3 down, and Wildcats first batter out. And the 1-2 pitch, that bounced in at home plate. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Colson Hale, with Jackson Cheney in the on-deck area for the Wildcats. And Hale back in there. And York from the stretch. And the 2-2 pitch. The low and inside, and the count goes full now to Colson Hale. Overcast day here at Mike Carter. Kind of missed it on us all the way here to the ballpark. Here's a 3-2 pitch, and that misses inside, and Colson Hale draws a base on balls, and he is very good at getting on base, a high on base percentage, because he does draw a lot of walks. Just trying to see how Colson did in the first game, and he was 0 for 2. He did score a run, and he did have 2 walks. And on one of those walks, he came in to score. There's a throw to first. Ooh, the first baseman, Perkins, made a real nice play on for his pitcher, York, there, who bounced one in on one hop. Get a true hop, that helps, but Perkins able to stifle that and not let it get by him, or Hale would have been down to second or further. Jackson Cheney swinging on the first pitch and hit a foul back behind him for strike 1. Cameron Harrison is on deck for the Wildcats, hitting in the 4th spot. Hale, a pretty good lead off first. And the 0-1 pitch, and that is going to be a called strike. Umpire liking that pitch kind of on the far outside part of the plate there. Jackson will say, well, I hope I get that call too. And I'm sure he probably will. Here's the 0-2 pitch, breaking ball swung on by Cheney and hit fairly deep out to right. The right fielder tracking it down makes the catch. Hale will play halfway and then trot back to first on a lazy fly ball out to right field for out number 2. So 2 outs with Hale at first, and now Cameron Harrison is the hitter for the Wildcats. And let's see how Cameron did. He was 1 for 4, had a base hit for the Wildcats in the first ball game in this series. York from the stretch with Hale leading off. And the first pitch, Harrison swing and a miss. He took a mighty cut at that one for strike 1. Bruce Silman coaching down at first, and Jared Hammock at third. And here's the ball hit right up the middle, a base hit. One hopper to the center fielder. Hale moves to second and will hold on right there as Cameron Harrison has our first hit in the ball game. And the Wildcats have something going here with runners at second and first with 2 out. And here is Austin Dodd, who has been really hitting the ball well since he was moved into that 5 spot. It's another one of the changes that the Wildcats made, sent them off on that winning streak. Austin was 1 for 2 Wednesday, scored a run and had a RBI. Scored the winning run, as it turned out. There's a call strike on the first pitch. He knocked in one and ended up scoring the third one on a big base hit. And the 0-1 pitch on the way. Dodd swings and hits a blast to left center field. It's going to go all the way to the wall. 1 run scores. Harrison can fly. He comes around third. He will score. And the Wildcats lead 2-0. They throw back to second trying to get Dodd rounding too much, and he got back in there. Austin Dodd with a 2 RBI double. A huge hit for the Wildcats, and they take a 2-0 lead. Colson Hale scored from second, and Cameron Harrison, again, who can fly around those bases, came in to score as well as the ball was still out in the outfield. And here's Jace Thompson. He was the one that had that leading RBI that turned out to be the winning one in our game Wednesday. And the pitch to Jace is inside for ball 1. Thompson was 1 for 3 and had that big RBI. He hit the ball harder than anybody to go 1 for 3. He hit a couple of sizzlers that went right at fielders. And the pitcher now, York, steps off and walks to the back of the artificial mound. And Austin Dodd, who is a disruptive base runner on at second base, he might take off. You got to watch him. And York's 1-0 pitch. And that came inside 2 to Jace Thompson, the count 2-0. So the Wildcats, 2 runs on 1 hit here in the bottom of the first inning to take a 2-0 lead. 2-0 the count to Thompson. And York's 2-0 pitch swung on and popped up down toward the first baseman. He's in foul territory and makes the catch for out number 3. But the Wildcats get a great start here. They score 2 runs as they put runners on a walk and a single, and then the 2 RBI double. So the Wildcats 2 runs on 2 hits. No Hallsville errors, and the Wildcats left 1 on base. So we played 1 inning here from Mike Carter Field. A good start for the Wildcats. The Wildcats 2 and Hallsville 0. The top of the second inning, and Tyler Lee is the designated hitter, and he's in the 4 spot, leading off for Hallsville here in the top of the second inning, with the Wildcats leading 2-0. First pitch from Jackson Cheney is a called strike on that outside part of the plate. 0-1 the count to Tyler Lee. What a name to be playing in this ballpark. This is Tyler Lee's, the high school. This is their home field. And that pitch just a little outside. 1 ball and 1 strike to the right-handed hitting designated hitter for Hallsville. He's batting for the pitcher, Matthew York. And the 1-1 pitch over but low, and the count 2-1 now to Lee. See how we figure out how Lee did against the Wildcats in game 1. And he was 0 for 2 in that ball game. And Cheney now with the 2-1 pitch. That swung on, hit foul, out of play. And the count goes to 2-2 to Tyler Lee. Couple of intriguing names that I was interested in. Also, if you remember an old TV series, Matt Houston is a catcher for Hallsville. 2-2 pitch, call, oh no. Call strike 3. I thought the umpire was signaling outside, and then he rang up Tyler Lee. And that is strikeout number 1 for Jackson Cheney. 1 up and 1 out here in the top of the second inning. And here's Zach Daniel. Zach, the left fielder for the Bobcats. And the first pitch from Cheney is in there for a call strike. I thought that was a good one. And Zach Daniel was 0 for 3 against Will Sims on Wednesday ball game. And Cheney's 0-1 pitch, breaking ball. Oh boy, that looked like a good breaker, but the umpire said it missed, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. To Zach Daniel, right-handed hitter and left fielder for Hallsville. 1-1 pitch, swing and a miss. And Daniel is down in the count now, 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1 out, nobody on here in the top of the second. Again, the Wildcats scored 2 in the bottom of the first. And the 1-2 pitch on the way. Cheney trying to hit that outside part of the plate again. Umpire said that one missed. 2 balls and 2 strikes. I don't know how Daniel could take that. That was a close pitch. But good eyes, I guess. They call it a ball. Here's a 2-2 pitch. Breaking ball, swing and a miss. And Jackson Cheney has struck out the first 2 batters here in the top of the second inning. That's his second strikeout, and 2 out, nobody on. And here's the aforementioned Matt Houston. Seemed like that was the name of an old TV series. May have had Lee Horsley in it, if anybody remembers him. And here's a breaking ball in there for a call strike, and Cheney had to put his hand down there as he almost fell after his delivery, but he maintained his balance for strike 1. And the 0-1 pitch to Houston, swung on, grounded deep in the hole. Argenbright's got it. The long throw across, a strike to Cameron Harrison. A beautiful play over there by Caden Argenbright over in the hole. That's the play I've always said separates the men from the boys when you're playing shortstop, is that ball in the hole. A beautiful throw. Argenbright passes the test. 3 up and 3 down for Hallsville. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on base. We played an inning and a half here from Mike Carter Field in Tyler. It's the Wildcats 2 and Hallsville 0. Bottom of the second inning for the Wildcats. They'll have 7, 8, and 9 coming to the plate here in the bottom of the second. Will Sims, the third baseman. Payson Edwards, the designated hitter, and then Connor Bergen, the right fielder for the Wildcats. Pitching for Hallsville, Matthew York. And Matt Houston just now getting to home plate as they had somebody else actually helping the pitcher. He's a number 13, and maybe he may be a coach or something, because I'm looking at the wrong team. Might help. That was Noah Jumper, by the way. Might help to look at the right team, Don. Oh, boy. Well, it's early on a Saturday. But at least I didn't make some of these mistakes on the coaches show this morning. We were buzzing out at 8:30 this morning to get here on time for the ball game. Will Sims hitting from the right side, leading off here in the bottom of the second inning for the Wildcats. They lead 2-0. And York's first pitch is low and outside for ball one to Sims. I'll turn back a couple of pages here and we'll tell you how he did on Wednesday as he was pitching and hitting. That pitch inside came close to hitting him. It went off the catcher's glove and got away a little bit. Doesn't matter at this point. Will Sims was 1 for 3. And I stand to be corrected. He had the winning RBI, that third one in that big sixth inning. So he was 1 for 3 with an RBI. And there is ball 3 to Will Sims. Ahead in the count against Matthew York, right-handed pitcher for Hallsville. York pitches from the stretch, and a 3-0 pitch, and he burned that one right in there for a called strike. Makes me wonder if he didn't get his start maybe in the bullpen, because those guys are used to pitching from the stretch with runners all over the bases usually. Not starters, but he fired that in there, and he's fought all the way back to a 3-2 count now on Will Sims. Sims leading off for the Wildcats here in the bottom of the second. And York from the stretch, and the 3-2 pitch. Swung on, drilled up the middle. The umpire had to move over as that ball heading out to center field. Solid single for Will Sims. The Wildcats look like they've got their hitting shoes on today as they've registered their third hit against Hallsville pitching. Had a single by Harrison, the big double by Austin Dodd that drove in 2 runs, and now Sims leads off the bottom of the second with a single, and here's designated hitter Payson Edwards hitting from the right side with Sims running down at first. First pitch from York, breaking ball, stayed inside for ball 1. Payson was 0 for 3 in the ball game Wednesday. And now Scott Mitchell, and has also noted that 3 Wildcats have hit the ball pretty well. I mean, good solid base hits, and Mitchell taking a trip out now to talk to Matthew York, his right-handed pitcher. And Matt Houston goes out there and also takes that big catcher's mitt and kind of pats him on the back as best you can do with the catcher's mitt on, but it's the thought that counts, right? So Mitchell back to the dugout. Scott Mitchell, by the way, 23 years as head coach at Hallsville, and that's a lot of excellence, folks. He has had a wonderful, very strong program at Hallsville just forever, as long as I can remember. Hallsville, a force to be reckoned with. Here's a 1-0 pitch. That's a call strike. The throw down to first, but scrambling back in there, Will Sims. 1 ball and 1 strike. The count to Payson Edwards. And Payson back in the batter's box. And Sims will take a pretty good lead off first. The ball bounced in, got away from Houston, and Sims will circle second, but not very far as Houston got back to the ball. And so boy, that's an interesting call right there. I think I might be inclined to go with a pass ball. That looked like it was one that hit off the catcher's glove, and he didn't have to reach much for it. So Sims in scoring position now down at second with nobody out. 2-1 to Edwards. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Edwards swings and hits the ball out to right field. Johnson over near the foul line makes the catch. Sims will tag up. Here's a throw to third, and Sims moves over to third on the fly ball out. So the Wildcats with a runner at third and only 1 out after Payson Edwards hit the ball well. And they made an appeal. I guess they're going to rule that that Sims left the second base bag too soon. Coach Hammock had some pretty bad body language there, and now he's saying, look, he was there, he tagged right when the ball was caught, and but you're going to lose that argument every time. The umpire that made the call is not going to say, you know, Coach, now that you've convinced me, you're absolutely right. So anyway, you're just bound and determined. And really, it's hard to appeal that because that's that umpire's play. That's what he's watching there at second base. So 2 out for the Wildcats, nobody on. And call strike on the first pitch to Connor Bergen. So the Wildcats lose that runner at third base. And the 0-1 pitch swung on by Bergen. It'll be a one-hopper to the second baseman. Throw to first just in time as Bergen was hot-footing it down the line. But as it turns out, despite a base hit, the Wildcats go up and down in order on the umpire's ruling at second base that Sims left too early, tagging up after the caught fly ball. So for the Wildcats, no runs, 1 hit, no Hallsville errors, and as it turns out, no runners left on base. We played 2 complete here from Mike Carter Field and Tyler. Our score, the Wildcats of Sulphur Springs 2 and Hallsville 0. Blake Ware, the hitter here in the top of the third inning against Jackson Cheney, and the first pitch misses for ball 1. Ware is the third baseman for Hallsville. Hitting in the 7 hole, they'll have 7, 8, and 9 hitting. Blake Ware, James Perkins, and Nolan Cox. And Ware was 1 for 3, had an RBI single. Oh, that can't be right. No, he had a single, not an RBI single. The next pitch is in there for a call strike. 1 ball and 1 strike from Jackson Cheney. 1-1 pitch to Ware, that outside, 2-1. 7-hole hitter for Hallsville. And Jackson Cheney now with a 2-1 pitch, and that one is over, but too low, and it's 3-1 the count. Wildcats and Bobcats getting another pair of eyes looking at them today as Mesquite Poteet is scouting here at the ball game. Talk to their scout some. Here's a 3-1 pitch, and that misses outside. And Hallsville's first base runner of the ball game, a walk here in the top of the third inning. That'll bring up the tying run to the plate in the form of the first baseman for Hallsville, James Perkins. He did not play in the first ball game. They used Amick. And let's see if I can find him. Yes, Chase Amick, all the way down at the bottom of that list based on number. First pitch from Cheney swung on and cued toward right field, fielded by Harrison. He'll win the race to the bag, but the runner moved down to second base on that slow hit ground ball. So Ware moves to second as Harrison took care of the out all by himself. So runner at second with 1 out. Here's Nolan Cox, the second baseman for Hallsville. And Cox was 1 for 3. He had a single in the ball game. I think Hallsville ended up maybe with 5 hits in the ball game. The Wildcats had 8 Wednesday. Runner at second now with 1 out, and here's the 9-hole hitter for the Bobcats as the sun trying to peek through. Cheney looks back at second. First pitch to Cox. Breaking ball is called strike. After Cox, Easton Lloyd scheduled a hit, and he's a real tough hitter. Coach Hammock intentionally walked him in the first game. There's a pitch inside and missed the plate, and the count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike to Nolan Cox. Bobcats 21, 5-1 on the season, and they went 13-1 through their district. Tough team, district champs. Here's a 1-1 pitch. Called strike from Jackson Cheney. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Nolan Cox. Little second baseman for Hallsville. He's already made a good defensive play out there where he went over in the hole and threw out the base runner, or the hitter. And there's a 1-2 pitch that misses outside. Good job by Birchfield to get over on that one to keep that ball from going back behind him. And the count 2-2 now to Nolan Cox. Runner at second and one out here in the top of the third inning. Wildcats leading 2-0. Cheney looks back at second. And the 2-2 pitch. Oh, buzzed him inside. 3-2. The count goes full to Nolan Cox. Jackson takes off the hat, puts him back on, and walks to the back of that mound. And now he's back there on the pitching rubber and ready to go. With a full count pitch coming up here for Nolan Cox, the 9-hole hitter. Looks back at second. And the 3-2 pitch swung on, grounded down to Edwards at third. He looks the runner back. He throws to first. Close play, safe at first. Oh, the little look at second base, and Cox beat the throw to first. And on the play, despite looking the runner back, Ware moves all the way into third. And that's the first hit for Hallsville. And that'll bring up the tough leadoff hitter, Easton Lloyd. And let's see if Coach Hammock might load the bases here rather than face this dangerous Lloyd. He's going to let him hit, though. Again, Lloyd was 0 for 3 on Wednesday. Cheney from the stretch, tying runs on base here. And the pitch to Lloyd is in there for a called strike. Lloyd hit the very first pitch he saw back in the first inning and flied out to Austin Dodd. Big lazy fly out there to center field. If he does that again, that would chase home a run on a sacrifice fly, but we shall see. Cheney, 0-1. Pitch on the way, breaking ball, swung on and hit. And base hit out into right field. Run comes in to score. And Hallsville runners at first and second after an RBI single by Easton Lloyd. And it's a 2-1 ball game. Blake Ware comes in to score. And Cox down to second. So Cox at second, Lloyd at first, still just one out. And now Argenbright came into the mound, and Birchfield from behind home plate as they have a quick conversation with Jackson Cheney. Birchfield may be changing some signs with the runner at second. Runner at second and first with one out. Hallsville trailing now 2-1. And here's Mangum. He grounded out to Colson Hale his first time up. And Cheney looks back at second. And the pitch on the way. Breaking ball outside for ball one. So Hallsville with a couple of hits on the inning. A leg hit where kind of took the Wildcats took some time to throw that ball over to first, looked the runner back, and that allowed the runner to beat it out. And then a solid single just eluded Colson Hale back up the middle. And Cheney, the 1-0 pitch. Well, no swing, the umpire says. Boy, he came close to a swing, I'll tell you that. But umpire at first said he did check it. That makes it 2-0. Well, Mangum steps out and now steps back into the batter's box. Runners at second and first for Hallsville as they're stirring it up here against Jackson Cheney in the third inning. And the 2-0 pitch, that looks like and is a call strike. 2-1 on the outside part of the play to Mangum, center fielder, right-handed hitting center fielder for the Hallsville Bobcats. Out in the middle of nowhere on the other side of Longview. As we used to say, going there's just no way to get there. And the 2-1 pitch swung on and hit foul out of play. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Nice ballpark there at Hallsville. The last time we did a game there was a bi-district playoff series, and Doug and I were on the roof of their press box. So Cheney looking in for the sign from the stretch. Runners at second and first and one out. And the pitch on the way, drilled to right field. It's a base hit. And the runner around third, and the throw will be cut off, and Hallsville has tied it up here in the third inning as they've had 3 hits. And coming around to score from second was the speedy Nolan Cox. So after a walk, 3 hits. And on that hit, Lloyd went all the way to third. So runners at the corners, first and third. We're tied at 2. And here is Braden Johnson. He grounded to short his first time up. Perhaps, well, I don't know. That was in the hole. I was going to say if he hit it one right out, Argenbright might be a double play. First pitch from Cheney, swung on a high hopper down to second base. The run will score. Throw to first, and that's out number 2, and Hallsville takes the lead. That was hit. It took a giant hop. It took forever to come down to Colson Hale, so he had no play at home plate. Just had to get the out. And on the play, Lloyd comes in to score the third run for the Bobcats, and they take a 3-2 lead here. And here's Tyler Lee with a runner down at second base. That's Mangum. First pitch misses for ball 1 to Tyler Lee. He struck out in the second. But Hallsville with 3 singles and a walk to score 3 runs. And the pitch on the way buzzed Tyler Lee inside, and 2-0 the count. Well, a tough inning for Jackson Cheney as Hallsville strikes back like the Empire. He's looking at Mangum at second base, and 2-0 pitch. That one swung on, hit foul out of play. 2-1 the count. Hallsville 3, Wildcats 2 here in the top of the third inning. Cheney had not allowed a hit until this inning, and he's allowed 3 of them. From the stretch. And the pitch, big breaking ball, stayed inside. I just noticed that the scorers gave that play that they looked the runner back and threw to first. They scored that as an error. So we'll see what Coach Hammock does with that. There's a ball hit back into the screen, and 3-2 the count now to Tyler Lee. 2 out with a runner at second, and Hallsville has scored 3 times here in the third inning to take a 3-2 lead. So they have Hallsville 3 runs, 2 hits. I have them 3 runs, 3 hits. And the Wildcats with 2 runs, 3 hits. And that 1 error according to the scores here at Mike Carter. Next pitch swung on, grounded to Colson Hale. He charges, fields it, throws to first. Nice job of charging that ball to Colson Hale, and that's out number 3. But some damage done by Hallsville as they score 3 runs on 3 hits. And no Wildcat errors. And Hallsville had 1 runner left on base. We played 2.5 here from Mike Carter Field in Tyler. Our new score now, Hallsville 3 and the Wildcats 2. Bottom of the third inning for the Wildcats, and they will have the top of the order coming up. It'll be Caden Argenbright, Colson Hale, and Jackson Cheney. Argenbright grounded to second his first time up, 0 for 1 in the ball game. Trying to get the Wildcats going here in the bottom of the third after Hallsville rallied for 3 runs. There's Matthew York from the stretch. First pitch on the way. Argenbright drills it to the first baseman. Then Perkins grabs it and will tag the bag ahead of Argenbright for out number 1. Hit real well, but just right at the first baseman. Out number 1. That'll bring up Colson Hale. He walked and scored the first run for the Wildcats. That was back in the first inning. And Hale steps in there. It's funny just to have it digging in there against that artificial turf. That's not going to do you much. There's a call strike on the inside part of the plate. Strike 1 to Colson Hale. It's just a habit. You get in that batter's box and you're used to kind of digging around in that dirt. But no dirt here to be found. And York's 0-1 pitch. Breaker over but low. 1 ball and 1 strike. And York from the stretch, 1 out, nobody on. And the pitch on the way, and that is a call strike. Boy, Hallsville, they're roaring with everything they think's a strike, so they're Wonder if that's impacting the umpire. I don't know. I guess he would probably say, hey, I'm not listening to that. I'm concentrating on that strike zone. Here's the 1-2 pitch. That was down too low, 2 balls and 2 strikes. But if you had a question and you heard that roar from the crowd, you might say, well, there are a lot of people here who think that's a strike. I don't know. Cynical thinking, I guess, right? Here's a 2-2 pitch, and that's over but low, and the count on Hales now 3 balls and 2 strikes. Of course, you didn't hear that roar that time. I mean, I'm not saying the fans are always right, but you know, they can pretty well judge a pitch. 3-2, swung on, hit foul, and that's count remains 3-2. That's not to say they won't beg for one that's pretty close every once in a while. But you have to just, again, give umpires the credit for they're going to call the game the way they see it. Here's a 3-2 pitch. Swung on, hit foul off the screen and then right into that dugout for Hallsville. And now you have to be alert down there, as that ball will carry them off that screen right into your dugout. And the player was looking and reached up and grabbed that one. Count remains 3-2. And York's 3-2 pitch. Breaking ball too high, and Colson Hale has walked twice in the ball game. So a 1-out walk, just like he did in the first inning. He came around to score. And here's the always dangerous Jackson Chaney. He had a lazy fly ball down to right field his flying the first time up, caught by the right fielder. Wind seems to be blowing left to right here today. And the pitch from York is swung on by Chaney and hit toward right field. The right fielder has it measured, comes over and makes the catch, and that's out number 2. Well, so far everything is pretty well tracked with what happened in the first inning. So if that's the case, we ought to have a single and a double and score a couple of runs here. Harrison did single and scored a run for the Wildcats. So he is 1 for 1 in the ball game. Colson Hale with a pretty good lead off first. And here's the pitch to Harrison. That stayed outside, ball 1. 2 out, runner at first. And York from the stretch. And the 1-0 pitch. Swung on by Harrison, hit foul down the left side for third baseman, gives chase, but it hit up around the 3rd or the 4th row of the seats down there along the left field line. And the count 1 ball and 1 strike to Cameron Harrison, the first baseman today for the Wildcats, with Jackson Chaney pitching. Harrison was in right field for game 1, Chaney at first and Will Sims pitching. And the 1-1 pitch, swing and a miss by Harrison, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Cameron back in the batter's box. York looking in with Hale leading off first. And the 1-2 pitch, that's outside, 2-2 the count. To Cameron Harrison, tried to get him to chase a bad one outside. Cameron having no part of that. And York again from the stretch with Hale a good lead off of first. His pitch, he checked his swing. Let's see if they're going to appeal that. Looked like they did not. So the count goes 3-2 to Harrison. Maybe the home plate umpire may have just taken care of that. Said don't need an appeal. He did not go. And a 3-2 pitch, swung on, drilled all right to the first baseman. He dropped the ball, and now it should be safe at first. And now the runner heading to third, and he's going to be out at third base. Colson Hale tried to go all the way around to third, and Perkins, after he had bobbled the ball that he thinks he probably should have caught, was able to throw over to third base and get Hale, and that's going to end it for the Wildcats. And that's got Jared Hammock not too happy with the way that inning ended. So we've played 3 complete here. As for the Wildcats, no runs. They had no hits. There's 1 Hallsville error. And one runner left on base. We've played 3 complete now from Mike Carterfield and Tyler. Hallsville 3, the Wildcats 2. Zach Daniel, the hitter now for Hallsville against Jackson Cheney as we start the 4th inning. Swung on first pitch hitting, grounding the ball to third, but that went off of the batter's foot. And so that is a dead ball, and as it hit him in foul territory there, and he'll walk that off. But a ball that went off the foot and then out to Payson Edwards, so just a strike on Zach Daniel. He struck out in the 2nd inning, 0 for 1 in the ball game. And the next pitch from Cheney, and that's too far outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. This is the 5-hole hitter for Hallsville, Daniel. And he is a left fielder. Swung on and hit just foul off the 3rd base line, and 1 ball and 2 strikes to Zach Daniel. That ball was well struck, but well in foul territory. And somebody from the Hallsville dugout is chasing that one all the way down to the foul pole down there, where it ended up after bouncing around after hitting in foul territory down the 3rd baseway. 1 ball and 2 strikes. We're just starting the 4th inning, and Hallsville leading 3-2. And Jackson Cheney's 1-2 pitch. That's outside. The count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. Hallsville 3 runs, 3 hits. And next pitch on the way outside. The count goes full now to Zach Daniel. Having a little hard time believing the ruling. They're going to give Harrison a hit on that ball here in the park. Anyway, I'm not. It should have been caught, and he just bobbled it and dropped it. Did everything but beat it to death. There's ball 4, and Zach Daniel will walk. What got Cheney in trouble in that 3rd inning was that leadoff walk, and it usually does. That's you see the percentages in Major League Baseball, and when you walk that first hitter, the times that runner comes home to score is surprisingly high. So runner at first with nobody out. Here's Matt Houston. He grounded to short his first trip up, so 0 for 1. And Cheney's pitch on the way. Call strike. Runner staying at first. Birchfield was giving him a look. Daniel with a huge lead. He's all the way off what would be normally the dirt on the green part of that artificial turf. Now he puts 1 foot back on the dirt as Cheney kind of gave him a look, and he dashed back into first there. So saved Cheney a throw over there. But again, a good lead all the way out there to the seam. And Cheney now with the 0-1 pitch. Bunting, Houston bunted it back into the screen. And he's back in the count now, 0-2. Or down in the count. So an 0-2 count with that runner at first. See if Scott Mitchell will continue to try to play small ball here with his catcher. Matt Houston back in there. Big righty with an open stance, waggling the bat. And Cheney from the stretch. The pitch comes in too high. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Matt Houston. Wildcats hoping to win this one and wrap it up 2-0. If Hallsville wins, there will be a Game 3 right after Game 2. I would imagine eventually we'll see Lufkin and Royce City coming in. There's a breaking ball swung on, hit foul out of play as the runner was moving on the play, so the count remains 1-2. As Daniel was on the move, a hit and run, but fouled out of play, so we'll do it all over again, 1-2. Nobody out, runner at first here in the top of the 4th. Wildcats 2 runs in the bottom of the 1st, and Hallsville 3 in the top of the 3rd. Bobcats lead 3-2. Cheney from the stretch. Again, good lead off first. And the pitch on the way, swung on and drilled to center field, but Austin Dodd backing up, has it measured, makes the catch. Runner will move back to first, and that's out number 1. Well struck, but Austin Dodd had it all the way there. Back up just a little bit. I'll tell you one thing, the teams are not getting cheated today. They're hitting the ball real hard. Both teams really look like good, solid contact. And here's Ware. He walked and scored in the 3rd for the Bobcats. No official at bat. And there's a throw to first, and diving back in is Daniel at first. Again, he was taking that big, big lead. And Cheney from the stretch. And the first pitch now swung on and hit out to right field. Connor Bergen moving over and makes the catch. The runner again will go back to first. Bergen had to run pretty hard over there, but he got there fairly easily and made that catch for out number 2.
Number 5, James Perkins.
Here's James Perkins. He grounded the ball down to Harrison at first. His first time up, and Harrison touched the base ahead of him for an out in the 3rd inning. So he is 0 for 1 in the ball game. Hits now with a runner at first and 2 out in this ball game that Hallsville leads 3-2. Again, Perkins did not play in the first ball game. Had a different first baseman over there. And Cheney's first pitch is called strike on the outside part of the plate. Play in the top of the 4th inning. Almost an hour old here from Mike Carter Field. Started at 11 o'clock this morning. And again, Cheney from the stretch. And the 0-1 pitch, breaking ball. Runner taking off. Birchfield throws to second and out at second base. Birchfield guns down another one. That was a close play at second base. Good tag there at the bag for the Wildcats. As nice throw down there by Jace Birchfield. And so we'll get to see Perkins hit again in the 5th inning. Hallsville goes up and down in order as it turns out. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on base despite the walk. And after 3.5 innings here from Mike Carter Field, Hallsville 3 and the Wildcats 2. And the Wildcats now bat in the bottom of the 4th inning. Austin Dodd, Jace Thompson, and Will Sims scheduled to hit for the Wildcats here in the bottom of the 4th. Dodd had a big double that scored 2 runs in the 1st inning for the Wildcats. And the first pitch from York bounces in for ball 1. Bounced all the way away from the catcher, but no harm, no foul with nobody on base. Dodd steps back in from the right side. He's really been going well since he's in that 5th spot. And he swings and hits a foul back into the screen, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. First thing he did when moved to that 5-hole against Greenville was go 5 for 5. That'll help the old batting average. Probably at least pump it up 5, 6, 7 points. Up too high, 2 balls and 1 strike. The major leagues at the end of the year might still go up 4 or 5 points, even with 400 or 500 at bats. From the stretch, and the 2-1 pitch, and that is close. Hallsville wanted that pitch, did not get it. 3-1 the count to Austin Dodd. And Dodd back in there. And York from the stretch. He delivers the 3-1 pitch. That's a call strike. That's right down the middle of, where are we here? Fair Park Drive. How about that here in Tyler? That's the street this park is on. It's in Rose Park with Rose Stadium. 3-2 the count now to Austin Dodd. And the 3-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. And York gets the strikeout. And he, I don't believe, has had, that's his first strikeout. I didn't remember another one. And that's why. That was number 1. Here's Jace Thompson. He hit a foul ball down toward first base. First baseman made the catch just in foul territory in the first inning, so he's 0 for 1 in the contest. Hallsville 3, Wildcats 2 as we play in the bottom of the fourth. Wildcats the home team for this one. And the pitch to Jay, swung on and get foul out of play for strike one. Will Sims on deck for the Wildcats. He has been a nice hitter for the Wildcats. Had some big hits in this winning streak. And the 0-1 pitch. Thompson tried to bunt and went all the way to the Wildcats dugout in foul territory. So 0-2 the count to Chase Thompson, trying to get something going with a bunt. Guess he was going to try to push that toward the second baseman and see if he couldn't leg that out. But he got a big piece of it. That probably would have been like a slow ground ball to second. Really have to hustle to beat that out. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Swung on just, they say swung and missed. And there's a throw to first. Pulled him off the bag. Oh, no! You've got to be kidding me. Bruce Silman is over. The umpire said, no. He was there. Boy, it looked like all the world that pulled the first baseman off the bag. And Jace Thompson is staying at the bag now. Here's Coach Hammock. This is a second call that's gone against them with these umpires out in the field. And again, just like the first time, he's not going to get any more satisfaction. Boy, looked like he clearly pulled the first baseman off the bag, but the umpire sticks by the call, and I don't think you could rule that he tagged the runner any at all. But Jace Thompson is out on, actually that's recorded as a strikeout because he swung and missed and was running to first. The catcher actually pulled the first baseman off the bag. 2 out, nobody on. There's a pitch outside for ball 1. So the Wildcats, a couple of tough breaks on the calls from the officials, umpires. Of course, they're going to tell you they didn't miss either one. There's a pitch outside, 2-0 to Will Sims. Well, Coach Hammock believes in the law of averages, and that would say that you're going to lose some of those calls and you're going to get some of those calls. There's a pitch. That's a call strike. 2 balls and 1 strike to Will Sims. 2 out, nobody on here in the bottom of the 4th inning. The Wildcats had a runner erased at third base. They said he tagged up too soon, and then that play would look for all the world like the first baseman pulled off the bag. There's a pitch, misses, 3-1 the count. You can check Doug's replay. Remember when Jace Thompson came up the second time, and see what you think. Doug can slow it down forever. Here's a 3-1 pitch, and there's ball 4, and Will Sims will take a walk with 2 out and nobody on. Well, now 1 on. And that'll bring up designated hitter Payson Edwards. He hit the ball pretty well the first time, but the right fielder moved over toward the line and made the catch. But Payson got a good piece of it, hit the ball pretty well. See what he can do with 2 outs and a runner on here for the Wildcats. It's been a while since they've had a base hit. As they had one in the second inning. And there's a ground ball to short fielded. They'll throw to second for the 4th. And that's going to do it for the Wildcats. And a walk, but nothing more. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 runner left on base. So we played 4 complete innings of play here from Mike Carter Field. It's Hallsville 3 and the Wildcats 2. Here's James Perkins leading off for Hallsville here in the top of the 5th inning against Jackson Cheney, and Cheney's first pitch in there for a call strike. Perkins was left at the plate when Jace Birchfield threw a runner out trying to steal, so that's strike 1. And Perkins 0 for 1 in the contest, having grounded out to first. Swing and a miss on this one. He's quickly in an 0-2 hole here. We play in the 5th inning. Wildcats trail 3-2. And Jackson with wind up, and the 0-2 pitch. Breaking ball swung on, popped up. It's in foul territory and coming over. Cheney, oh, he couldn't field it. He was right up against the screen and was having to battle that and just couldn't quite get there to catch that one. Birchfield was also heading over there, as was Cameron Harrison. But just a big foul there. And so count remains 0-2 to James Perkins. He has another chance after that one. And Jackson's 0-2 pitch that broke outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. To James Perkins. And Jackson's 1-2 pitch on the way. Breaking ball swung on, hit off the fist down towards shortstop. Argenbright having to charge. Throw to first in time. Nice play by Argenbright. Perkins does not have blinding speed, so Argenbright was able to handle that one. On a lot of fast players, that would have been an extremely close play. Like this guy running, Nolan Cox. He's already beat one out today that was a routine ground ball. The defensive player looked the runner back at second, and that was enough for Cox to beat it out. First pitch to him, down too low, ball 1. So he's 1 for 1 in the game. Single and scored in the Hallsville big third, where they scored 3 runs. Cheney's 1-0 pitch, swung on, hit out to center field. Austin Dodd in his tracks, coming in just a little bit and over a bit, and makes the catch for out number 2. 2 up and 2 out here in the top of the 5th. That'll bring up the always tough leadoff hitter for Hallsville, Easton Lloyd. He flied to center field and then had a big RBI single in the 3rd. So Lloyd 1 out of 2. 2 out, nobody on. First pitch from Cheney is called strike on the outside part of the plate. Cheney in his 5th inning of work. And he has allowed 3 hits and 3 runs. Next pitch on the way, hit to, got underneath the second baseman's glove, out on into right field for a base hit. So Lloyd with a base hit. Hale got over, but just couldn't flag it down as it went by him. And they scored that an error here in the home park. So runner at first with 2 outs, and here's Hagan Mangum. He had an RBI single in that big 3rd, and he grounded second base in the 1st, so he's 1 out of 2. And now Lloyd taking off, and Birchfield throwing to second, and this will not be in time as Lloyd steals the base. He is a speedy runner. That's why you put a guy in the leadoff spot, as he just stole second. The pitch was in there for a call strike on Mangum. Thank you to the umpire for giving us that pitch count. I needed it, and so did the press box. They had not recorded that pitch. And Cheney's 0-1 pitch, and call strike on the outside part of the plate. Cheney quickly ahead, 0-2. Hallsville with a runner in scoring position down at second with 2 outs. And the count now to Mangum, 0-2. Cheney looks back at second base. And the 0-2 pitch. Call strike 3. That umpire did that again where he kind of points outside. You think he's saying it's out there and too far, and then he does that big ringing them up. And so a strikeout for Jackson Cheney. So a hit, but nothing more for Hallsville. No runs at 1 hit. No Wildcat errors. And 1 runner left on base. We played 4.5 innings here from Mike Carter Field in Tyler. It's Hallsville 3 and the Wildcats 2. Bottom of the 5th inning, the Wildcats will have 9, 1, and 2 hitting here in the bottom of the 5th, with Connor Bergen leading off. Then we'll go back up to the top of the order, Caden Argenbright and Colson Hale. So Connor Bergen, he grounded to second his first time up. He is 0 for 1 in the ball game, playing right field today for the Wildcats. Slightly open stance there at home, batting against Matthew York, who is in his 5th inning of work. And York's first pitch is going to miss outside for ball 1. Just a little bit low on that one. So 1-0 the count. Again, York throwing every pitch from the stretch. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Swing and a miss, and the count goes to 1-1. Bergen unable to make contact on that, so 1-1 the count. Again, York from the stretch. And the 1-1 pitch swung on and hit foul down the third base way. And 1-2 the count. Wildcats have not had a hit since the second inning when Will Sims was on. And from the stretch now the pitcher. And the 1-2 pitch. Breaking ball, swing and a miss. And a strikeout for York. And his strikeout numbers beginning to pick up a few. That's his 3rd. He struck out 2 in the 4th. So first 3 innings, no strikeouts, but he has recorded 3 now the last 2 innings. So 1 out, nobody on. Here's Caden Argenbright. He's hit the ball in the infield twice, grounded to second and grounded to first, 0 for 2. And York's pitch is a called strike to Caden Argenbright. Again, Caden had 2 hits Wednesday, 2 for 4, hitting in that leadoff spot. Again, York from the stretch. And the pitch on the way. Big breaking ball. Not a strike, umpire says. 1 ball, 1 strike. Close pitch. York keeping that ball around the plate for the most part. And the 1-1 pitch. Ooh, boy, I talked too soon. That was, catcher had to really reach up to get that one. That was way out of the strike zone. 2 balls and 1 strike. Houston extending that arm about as high up as he could get to catch that one. 2-1 the count to Argy. Batting here in the bottom of the 5th. That pitch is swung on and hit to the second baseman. 1 big hop, throw to first, and in time for out number 2. And that'll bring up Colson Hale. He's been a real thorn in the side of the pitcher, Matthew York. He has walked 2 times.
Colson Hale.
And scored a run in that first for the Wildcats. So he hits 2 outs with nobody on. And third baseman in a step, wondering that he might bunt. Here's a pitch to Colson, and that was just too high for ball 1. Some of the Hallsville faithful liked that pitch, but did not get the call. 1-0 the count. And York 1-0 pitch, and that's high and inside. 2-0 to Colson Hale. Hale has walked both times on 3-2 pitches, so, but this time he's ahead in the count, 2-0. And the 2-0 pitch. That looked, 3-0 the umpire says. It just missed, maybe a little high. Well, Hale ahead in the count, 3-0. And York's 3-1 pitch, and that is a strike on the inside part. 3-1 to Colson Hale. Hitting with 2 out, nobody on here in the bottom of the 5th. Wildcats trailing 3-2. And the 3-1 pitch. And that's a called strike. The count goes full. And Hale back in there, and here comes another 3-2 pitch to him. And the pitch on the way, swung on, drilled to left field, a base hit. Left fielder over to take it on a couple of hops. Hale around first, but he'll hold on as the ball already back to the shortstop. Nice solid single for Colson Hale.
The pitcher, number 4, Jackson Cheney.
Here's Jackson Cheney. He has flied out twice to right field. And Scott Mitchell knows how dangerous Cheney is, and he's coming out to talk to his pitcher with 2 outs and a runner at first. Make sure that he's aware to be very careful to this rattlesnake at home plate. Be careful how you handle this one, or you might get bitten. So a big conference going on now for Hallsville, and You may also want to see how much his pitcher has. He's been doing a good job. Like I say, no hits allowed since the second inning until Colson Hale just broke up that stat. And Mitchell back to the dugout, and all the Hallsville infielders back to their position. The catcher also coming back behind the plate. And Jackson Cheney, 2-out runner at first. And Jackson 0 for 2 with 2 flyouts. Very capable of leaving the yard at any time. And York's pitch on the way. Cheney, a big cut for strike 1. Didn't catch up to that one. 0-1 the count. He has thrown nothing to Cheney but strikes today. And the 0-1 pitch, and that's going to be in there for a called strike. He continues that trend. He's got Cheney in an 0-2 hole in the... Let's see if Jackson cuts down on the swing or whether he goes for the downs. Here's the 0-2 pitch. He singles into left field. That was a change up on the pitch, and Cheney had time to wait for it, and he drilled it into left field. And the Wildcats 2 on with 2 out now. And that'll bring up Cameron Harrison. Harrison has a hit already. He's 1 out of 2. He's also on an error where the first baseman had the ball and then dropped it. And we have I believe Jake Davis might be the runner. See if I can spy his number.
Cameron Harrison.
And that is indeed Jake is running down at first base for Cheney. And here's Cameron Harrison, again 1 out of 2, with runners at second and first and 2 out. And the pitch from York, swing and a miss by Harrison. He's taken some big cuts today. Like to see him hit a gapper. He is a fast runner. Love him to find a gap out there. That would probably score a pair. And now a turn and looks like a fake throw to second base. The pitcher never threw the ball. The runners dived in like they were trying to tag him out. Colson Hale said, "What the heck was that?" The pitcher never threw it, and the infielders dived like they were diving for the ball. The umpire said, "No, I'm not going to, no play acting." There's a swing and a miss by Harrison, and he is down in the count 0-2. So runners at second and first for the Wildcats, 2 out, and Cameron Harrison down in the count 0-2. And York's pitch swung on. Harrison fouls it back in the screen. Again, Colson Hale at second. He's got good speed, and Jake Davis are running at first with good speed. So, and Davis not being held on. He's all the way off that what would be the dirt area. Pitch to Harrison, just missed over, but too low. 1 ball and 2 strikes. That was a close pitch. The umpire not biting on that one. And 1 ball and 2 strikes. Again from the stretch. And the 1-2 pitch, swing and a miss. And the pitcher gets out of it as he struck out a couple in the inning. The Wildcats threatened with a couple of base hits. Had no runs and 2 hits. No Hallsville errors and 2 runners left on base. We've played 5 complete innings here from Mike Carter Field now. It's Hallsville 3 and the Wildcats 2. The top of the 6th inning here from Mike Carter Field in Tyler. Hallsville 3, the Wildcats 2. The 3, 4, and 5 in the Hallsville order here in the top of the 6th. Here's Braden Johnson, the right fielder. He's grounded on the infield twice, grounded to short, grounded to second. So he is 0 for 2. Right fielder. First pitch from Jackson Cheney, down too low for ball 1. Johnson, then Tyler Lee and Zach Daniels scheduled to hit here in the top of the 6th. And Jackson Cheney, 1-0 pitch. That misses inside, 2-0 the count. Had trouble with the first batter, or at least he did in the 3rd and the 4th innings. Not in any other inning, but in a couple innings. And a 2-0 pitch to Johnson. That looked like he poured that one right in there for strike 1. 2-1 the count. And Johnson, who has those bright golden shoes for Hallsville. Here's a 2-1 pitch, and that's low and outside. 3-1 the count to Johnson. And Jackson Cheney from the windup. Here's a 3-1 pitch. It looked like he poured that one in there, and the count goes full now to Braden Johnson. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Top of the 6th, and Hallsville leads 3-2. They have 4 hits against Jackson Cheney. 3 big ones in that 3rd when they took the lead. Next pitch on the way, swung on and hit out towards what's on the infield, and Argenbright behind second base makes the catch for out number 1. They'll pop up to the Wildcat shortstop for out number 1, and here's Tyler Lee. He struck out and grounded to second. And I'm not sure, it looks like we may have, oh, I see. Tyler Lee went after the bat. I was going to say that does not look like Tyler Lee. But it is indeed, because he went after the bat. And I was looking at the runner, or the on-deck batter who had gotten near home plate to receive the bat from Tyler Lee. So he is hitting again. He's 0 for 2. Strikeout, ground to second. First pitch from Cheney is a call strike on the outside part of the plate. Hallsville 3, Wildcats 2 as we play here in the top of the 6th. Wildcats a couple more shots at the Bobcats. And the 0-1 pitch, that missed outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Again, Cheney, 3 runs, 4 hits. All he's allowed today. And Cheney's next pitch on the way, and ball strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Tyler Lee. The most aptly named player to play a game at Mike Carter Field. This is the home field for the Tyler Lee Red Raiders, or Raiders. That pitch misses outside, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Not sure whether they go by Red Raiders or just Raiders. Also the home of the John Tyler Lions. And the 2-2 pitch, breaking ball, hit off the end of the bat, and it's going to go in foul territory. Jackson Cheney was trying to get to it, had to let the runner go by. And by the time he got to it, it had already trickled off into foul territory. And the count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes to Tyler Lee. Tyler, a big, tall fella, as he steps in there. Right-handed hitter, straight away in the box. And the 2-2 pitch. He has swung on and hit foul off the right side, and it'll be out in foul territory down the right field way. And the count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. 1 out, nobody on, and top of the 6th, and Hallsville with a 3-2 lead. And Jackson Cheney looking in. And the 1-2 pitch, breaking ball. That swung on, hit foul back into the screen. Umpire turned right around and grabbed that baseball on a couple of hops. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And Tyler Lee back in. And Jackson Cheney with a 2-2 pitch. That one swung on back into the screen. So Tyler Lee staying alive up there for several foul balls, reminding all of us of the old adage from our kickball days and early elementary school days, 99 fouls and you're out. Did you ever play under those rules? You know, I don't ever remember that being enforced in either kickball or baseball. Here's a 2-2 pitch. Looked like he went too far. Strike 3. The home plate umpire will ring him up. Strikeout for Jackson Cheney. And 1, 2, 3, 4 strikeouts for Jackson Cheney. 2 out, nobody on, and here's Zach Daniel. He struck out in the second, and he walked in the 4th inning. He was thrown out trying to steal by Jace Birchfield. And Cheney with the first pitch, breaking ball. Looked like it had, yes, called strike. Looked like it had broken right over the plate. Umpire says that's exactly what happened. So took him a while to call that one. He digested it a little bit. And the 0-1 pitch. And that just missed. That was a close pitch. Cheney kind of slapped at that ball coming out to him. I think he thought he had thrown strike 2 on that one. Count is 1 ball and 1 strike, however. And the 1-1 pitch. And that missed inside. 2-1 the count to Zach Daniel. And Daniel steps out, takes a practice swing. And Cheney working here with 2 out, nobody on in the top of the 6th. And the 2-1 pitch that swung on, hit foul. Out of play, 2 balls and 2 strikes. And Zach Daniel back in there. Against Jackson Cheney, working in his 6th inning of work. And the 2-2 pitch, breaking ball, swing and a miss. And Cheney had 2 strikeouts in the inning and set Hallsville up and down in the 6th. No run, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on base. So we played 5.5 here from Mike Carter Field in Tyler. It's Hallsville 3 and the Wildcats 2. Bottom of the 6th inning, Wednesday, when the Wildcats rallied, they had 3 clutch singles. They got them from Austin Dodd, Jace Thompson, and Will Sims. Scheduled to hit here in the Wildcats in the bottom of the 6th, Austin Dodd, Jace Thompson, and Will Sims. Austin Dodd has a hit in the ball game. It's a huge hit for the Wildcats, a double that scored 2 runs in the 1st inning. Also struck out in the 4th, so he is 1 out of 2.
Center fielder Austin Dodd.
And he's got a good bat going since he moved to that 5 spot. The Wildcats, it's getting late here in this ball game at the bottom of the 6th. Be a good inning for the Wildcats to get something stirring here against York. And the first pitch is in there for a call strike to Austin Dodd. So 0-1 the count. It was a 0-1 pitch that Dodd hit for the double back in the 1st. And here's the 0-1 pitch, swung on and grounded off the 3rd baseman's glove, and Dodd will beat that out. Base hit off the 3rd baseman's glove. He dived and just barely got a piece of that one. And here's Jace Thompson. He popped out in foul territory and struck out in the 4th, so Thompson is 0 for 2. As Dodd, good lead off first. And York from the stretch. Let's see if he'll throw over there. He does not. Thompson bunting, and it's a good bunt down the 3rd base line. The 3rd baseman will pick it up and put it in his pocket. And Jace Thompson, after crossing first base, went over to the first base coach, and low 5s were exchanged by a real excited Bruce Silman down at first base. So the Wildcats open the 6th with a pair of singles. Dodd with a base hit off the 3rd baseman's glove, and Thompson with a bunt single that the 3rd baseman couldn't do anything with, but just put it in his pocket. Here's Will Sims. Let's see if Coach Hammock will play small ball here or let Will swing away. He's got tremendous speed with Dodd, and Thompson a good runner too at first. And the pitch, and Sims is bunting, and he bunts it down to the pitcher. He can't come up with it. An error on the pitcher as he could not come up with Sims' bunt. It would have been probably a pretty close play at first anyway, but the bases are loaded for the Wildcats with nobody out. Austin Dodd at third. Jace Thompson at second. Will Sims at first. Nobody out. And Coach Hammock has his arms around Payson Edwards, patting him on the shoulder as they talked about the situation. And see if Coach Hammock will try to bunt in a run here. The Hallsville infield coming in at second and short. First baseman's in and third baseman in a little. So the infield in for Hallsville with the bases loaded and nobody out. Makes Payson a very good hitter now, and he will step out on the pitcher. And now Payson into the batter's box, ready to go. He's 0 for 2, flied to right and was on a fielder's choice. And the pitch on the way. Payson Edwards, a base hit for left field. Austin Dodd ties the game. Here comes the runner. He will hold at third as Coach Hammock will keep Jace Thompson at third base. Did not want to make the first out at home. Payson Edwards with an RBI single, and we're tied 3-3. Edwards at first. Sims at second. Thompson at third. And Austin Dodd comes in for the third run. And Jake Davis will now hit for Connor Bergen. And so Davis will now hit here in the bottom of the sixth inning. And Scott Mitchell is out. And let's see if he's going to make a pitching change. All right, right now just kind of talking it over with York. And they are going to have a pitching change for Hallsville. We'll take a break here. And we'll tell you about the new pitcher for Hallsville right after this break. Well, it would appear that Coach Mitchell has brought his, I thought he signaled in for the left fielder to come in. Maybe that was to the bullpen. Okay, I've got that number. Now pitching for Hallsville.
Number 9, Tyler Lee.
And Tyler Lee is the new pitcher. He's been the designated hitter. So Tyler Lee now pitching for Hallsville. So that was not, I'm sure they were calling to the bullpen for him to come out of that bully out there. And so Tyler Lee, the new pitcher. Let me mark up my scoreboard, my scorebook just a little bit here. When I'm writing my story tonight, I'll be glad I did all this. Wildcats with 2 singles, an error, and another single. So that's 3 singles and an error. Let's put it like that. Have tied the game at 3-3. And they have the bases loaded with nobody out. And Jake Davis is the hitter. As Scott Mitchell is explaining his change to the umpire, the home plate umpire is taking notes. Looks like a newspaper reporter taking all that down. It'll be on the test later, maybe. Testing next week, I understand, to bring up a bad subject for some of the Wildcat and Lady Cat students. But that's that's why you go to school, right? You take those tests and show what you've learned. That'll be going on next week. Of course, there's, I'm sure, some more weather issues. Looks like Tuesday and Wednesday are some really interesting weather days, at least in early reports. And on top of everything else, something that always affects baseball and softball playoffs, the prom. And so coaches will have to consider all of that. And I think the umpire said, okay, that's all the warm-ups that Tyler Lee gets. And there's no throw to second. You don't do that with runners on the bases. So here's Jake Davis now with the bases loaded and nobody out in the Hallsville infield, drawn in here. And we're tied at 3. And the Wildcats had every base with good leads, nobody being held on, so they've got good leads all the way around. That'll help them get into that next base. And here's Lee's first pitch now to Davis, and he squared the bunt and took the ball outside for ball 1. It appeared to be off the plate. And so 1-0 the count to Jake Davis. We've seen him pinch run, we've seen him pitch a little bit, and now pinch hitting here for the Wildcats in a big spot for this young man. And Tyler Lee. 1-0 pitch, and Davis bunting, and he bunted it foul down the third base plate. And this is a tough bunt because the infield is in for starters. And that third baseman is just about to, by the time he bunts it, he's about to shake hands with that batter. So it makes it a tough bunt. You would have to have an exceptionally good bunt to get it away from the pitcher and the infielders and all of that. So 1-1 the count to Jake Davis. Tyler Lee from the stretch. Wildcats lead off every base here in this 3-3 ball game. And the 1-1 pitch. Davis squared around, but let it go high and outside. 2-1 the count to Jake Davis. And Davis back into the batter's box. Wildcats good leads all the way off the what would be dirt areas on a regular field. And the 2-1 pitch. Davis bunting, and it's a beauty down the third baseline. They throw it home and out at the home plate. It looked like the ball was bobbled a little bit, but the home plate umpire said that Matt Houston was able to get control of that ball. And now again, it's very hard. That was a beautiful bunt, and the third baseman still had time to shuffle it into home plate to get the force out. And that was with Austin Dodd running, and he has incredible speed. So Davis on the fielder's choice. Bases still loaded. The Wildcats now with 1 out, and here is a clutch hitter. No place to put him. I don't care if he's 0 for 3. Caden Argenbright is a good hitter for the Wildcats anytime. Now that infield is kind of at double play depth at second and short now. Third baseman and first baseman have backed up a little, but they're still watching for a possible bunt. No, I take that back. That's second and short. They are in. So in on the infield. Here's a pitch to Argenbright, swung on and hit out to the outfield. This ought to be deep enough to score the run. The center fielder makes the catch. He'll throw to the cutoff man, and coming in to score the leading run for the Wildcats is Will Sims on the sacrifice fly by Caden Argenbright to give the Wildcats a 4-3 lead. Out number 2 as Sims comes in to score to give the Wildcats the lead.
Number 6, Colson Hale.
And runners at second and first for the Wildcats with 2 outs, and here's Colson Hale. He is 1 for 1 with a single and 2 walks. He's been a good hitter today. Now the Hallsville infield is back with 2 out, of course. And the pitch to Colson, a breaking ball in there for a call strike. 0-1 the count. Hale slashed a single to left, a well-hit ball that went over the infielders and out into left field. And then he drew 2 walks, so he's been on base every time. Good on-base percentage. And Tyler Lee, that pitch low and outside, and a good job by Matt Houston, that catcher, getting out there and making sure that ball does not go back to the screen. Those runners would have advanced. And as the Wildcats are already looking for some insurance here. Chase Thompson, a good runner at second. And the 1-1 pitch up too high to Hale. 2-1 the count. No, excuse me, that is not Jace. That is well, hold on just a second. My book's all messed up. Here's the ball swung on and hit out to right field, but actually the first baseman went back and made the catch right on the cut between the infield and the outfield. But the Wildcats take the lead as they score twice. And the Wildcats get 2 runs. They had 3 hits. There was 1 error. And the Wildcats left a couple of runners on base. So we have played 6 complete innings of play now. New score here. The Wildcats of Sulphur Springs 4 and Hallsville 3. Jackson Cheney is out trying to shut down Hallsville here and see if the Wildcats can advance to the area around. And he will have 6, 7, and 8 for Hallsville. Matt Houston, the first hitter, is 0 for 2 here in the top of the 7th inning. Hallsville fans clapping their hands here. First pitch is swung on and fouled back into the screen. Strike 1 to Matt Houston. Then Blake Ware and James Perkins are the scheduled hitters. But I have been around Coach Mitchell's teams enough to know that he will use a pinch hitter when he feels like it'll help him. Here's the 0-1 pitch, and that missed outside. 1 ball and 1 strike to Matt Houston. Again, grounder to short, fly ball to center field to Austin Dodd. I said Dodd was out at home plate a while ago. That was actually Jace Thompson. That was the reason for my confusion. And the 1-1 pitch, swung on, grounded to Argenbright at short. His throw to first is in time for out number 1. 1 up and 1 out. Argenbright like money in the bank. That'll bring up Blake Ware. He walked and scored in the 3rd and flied out to right field to Connor Bergen.
Number 14, Connor Reed.
And this is a pinch hitter now for Ware, and they're going to have Connor Reed as the pinch hitter. 1 out and nobody on. And Reed steps in from the right side. 1 out, nobody on. For Hallsville, Wildcats leading 4-3. And the pitch down low, got away from the catcher, ball 1. From Jackson Cheney, working in his 7th inning. They don't have pitch count here, but he has been so good with his pitch count. I'll bet they've got something showing that's upstairs that the coaches can see. 1-0 pitch, swung on and hit slowly down to third baseman. Fielded there, throw to first, in time. The Wildcats are 1 out away from advancing. Ground ball down to Will Sims at third. I think I've been calling Payson Edwards at third base. That's Will Sims that's been playing third the whole ball game, so I apologize for making that error. I'm just like the players. I strive for perfection, but sometimes I slip up. 2 up and 2 out, and here's a pinch hitter now for James Perkins. This is going to be Chase Amick. He played in the first game. And Amick is the hitter. See if I can figure out how he did. Here's the first pitch. Jackson Cheney in there for a call strike. Amick was 1 for 3. He singled in the game Wednesday. And he's the last hope now for the Hallsville Bobcats right now. Here's the 1-0 pitch. That looked like a strike. Call strike 2 from Jackson Cheney. Hallsville down to their last strike here as the Wildcats lead 4-3. Can't celebrate yet. And Jackson Cheney, and the 0-2 pitch on the way. Swing and a miss! And the Wildcats have defeated Hallsville by a score of 4-3. And the Wildcats have advanced to the area round. And they will play the winner of a 2 o'clock ball game this afternoon between Mesquite Poteet and also Joshua, as both of those teams have won a game. And the Wildcats, some celebrating going on, but now they've got to put that aside, and they've got to put on their best face here for the the handshake line, or actually it's kind of a high fist bump 5 line. But got to take care of that sportsmanship, and these two teams know each other well. The coaches know each other well, and they do battle, and this was another one here as the Wildcats come away with a 4-3 win. And what a big rally in the bottom of the 6th inning as the Wildcats just continue that theme of a team of destiny lately, as they won their 7th straight game, and they are now 17-10 for the season. At one time they were 10-10, and they were 2-8 in district play and looked dead to the world. But they have turned all that around, and what an inning in that bottom of the 6th. A single by Austin Dodd, a bunt single by Jace Thompson. Will Sims bunting, the pitcher couldn't handle it, an error, bases loaded. Payson Edwards, base hit to tie the game, and Argenbright with 1 out hit the sacrifice fly, scoring Will Sims from third base with a leading run that turned out to be the winning run, as Jackson Cheney got it done in this 4-3 Wildcats win over Hallsville. So as soon as we find out, I'm sure it'll be much later, either late today or early sometime tomorrow, we will give you everything we can tell you about the Wildcats area round game and what the schedule will be like. Lady Cats are also waiting for their regional quarterfinal opponent, and so they'll be playing either, unless they decided something last night that I haven't heard about. My Dallas Morning News didn't have any late scores, but the Lady Cats will play either Hallsville or North Forney. And David, if you're out there, I doubt you can text me fast enough for anything I could use on the air. But and in fact, it may be determined later today, as David might be out scouting. He was thinking about it yesterday. It looked in the paper like they might not play until today. But anyway, Wildcats win here over Hallsville by the score of 4-3. Let's go ahead and wrap this one up as the Wildcats score 2 in the bottom of the 1st inning. Hallsville came back to score 3 in the top of the 3rd, but the Wildcats with the decisive rally in the bottom of the 6th, scoring 2 times to win 4-3. James Terry running spots back at the station. And James, you will not be required to hang around for Game 3 unless you just enjoy hanging around the KSST control room. I have a feeling he'll be out that door in about 10 minutes. Doug Hastings, shooting video, also did all our engineering, all of our live streaming work today. Doug, a great job. And he will have this one on Channel 18 sometime tomorrow, I would think. And eventually it'll be on YouTube, but that's going to take a while. Actually, Hallsville's out now, so I don't know why they would care. So it may be up on YouTube very quickly, and I don't think it would do Hallsville any harm because they were worried about scouting. So that may also show up on YouTube pretty quickly. I'm Don Julian with your play-by-play. Once again, our final score in Game 2 of this by-district series between the Wildcats and the Hallsville Bobcats. The Wildcats of Sulphur Springs 4 and Hallsville 3. The Wildcats win the series 2-0, and they move on to the area round. Thank you so much for joining us on this Saturday, and so long, everybody.
Thank you, Don. You've been listening to Wildcat Baseball on KSST 1230 AM, Sulphur Springs, Texas. Back to Good Time Oldies after this message.